Begin the current Daf, Mesech the Succah Daf Lamates. Begin 6 lines down at the top of the Amud, where the Gemara continues to explain the halacha of our Mishnah regarding Kriyas HaHalal, regarding the different customs we have reciting Halal, which comes into our sugi because of Lulav. We shackle Lulav right with the Nanum during Halal. Asher's Kos Mazakazich and Cheskel to end the Mevchaim. Appreciate for joining us for today's Daf. Some things we can discuss in today's Daf are which verse in Halal are repeated, how do we know brachas are recited before the mitzvah, how a lulav and esek can be purchased during Shemitah. That's the halacha of the next Mishnah, which is this year, about the Shemitah year. Giving money to an Amma Aretz during Shemitah, are you allowed to? How much? When is an esrog obligated in Meiser? And when is it considered grown as far as Shemitah is concerned? What do we consider that as a Gemar Pri? Some key terms of concept we discussed in today's daf are kol mitzvahs kulon mevarch alein over lasiyasin. Whenever you do a mitzvah, you always have to make the bracha before you perform the mitzvah. Shemitah is the 7th year that is a cycle which the produce has a certain sanctity, and even the produce that's the funds that are transferred from the produce also has that sanctity. Amma Aretz is an ignorant person, an unlearned person who is considered suspect regarding if he separated maisvahs, and we also presume that he's in a state of tumah. Chaver, on the other hand, is a Talmid Chacham, who is someone that is learned, and we presume that he did take off maisvahs and he has the laws of Torah. So, we begin the current daf, where the Gemara continues explaining the halacha of the Mishnah. It said, Makom shenogu lichfal. If the place where their custom was to repeat the psukim, the verses in Halal, so then one should repeat the verses. It all depends on the minig Medina, which Tana we learned in a Braisa. Rebbe koifel badvar. Rebbe, he would double some of the psukim in Halal, from Anna and onwards, from Anna Hashem Shina, which is doubled over there, Baruch Haba B'Shem Hashem, all those psukim are doubled over there, he would say them 2 times. He actually added on even more psukim earlier, that he would double them, more than what Rebbe would do. Says the Gemara, what would he add on that would be more than Rebbe? Amabai says, Meisiv Lichval, he would increase the doubling of the psukim, which is like our minig, which we had explained in the previous daf, that because the whole mizmer from Halal, from Hoidu till the end, is basically so many double concepts that it says it again and again, doubling the same verses, meaning the words are similar. So here also there's the idea about doubling, and therefore he went, and even though from before Anna is not double, he would even say even more double. Now, Lavarach Yivarach, we said that if the minig of the Malkim was to make a bracha on Hal, you should make a bracha. Now, Amabai, he says an important qualification. He says, Leishon, we didn't learn that it depends if you can make a bracha on the minig, is Ella only regarding the bracha of La'achrav, of that we make a bracha after we finish Hal. Avlafanav, but beforehand, mitzvah Lavarach, that's a mitzvah to make a bracha. Because Damar B'Yudim Mishmol says, Kol mitzvahs kulan, all the mitzvahs, Mavarch Alein, you have to make a bracha on them. Oiver lasiyasan, before you do them. So the Gemara, once it said the word oiver, it says, "My mashma hay oiver lishon dakdumehu." Where do you ever find oiver? I thought oiver means you violate something. Where does oiver mean before you do it? Says the Gemara, 3 sources. Number of Nachman bar Yitzchak says the Chassidus says a pasuk Shmuel beis says v'yaretz achimoatz derech hakikar, that achimoatz ran through the plain. V'yavres hakushi, which means to say he went before the kushi. Abai Mahachi says a pasuk in Bereshit says v'hu av lefneim, that he went before them. So you see, Avar means before, and V'baisei Macha, pasuk in Micha, V'yavar Malcolm Lefneim, and their king went in front of them, Hashem Bereisham, and Hashem was at the head, but you see that V'yavar is Lefneihem, that's why it means Oiver Lasiyasam means before you do it. See the halach of the next Mishnah, we continue on this halach of the Daled Minim, says the Mishnah, Halakech Lulav Mechaver. If someone is purchasing a lulav from his friend, which Rashi is all busy saying that you're buying from an Amma Aretz, which, as the Gemara is going to say, the seller is an Amma Aretz, but a chaver would never call Amma Aretz his friend, and moreover, so it must be that we're talking about it's an Amma Aretz buying from an Amma Aretz. The Taisa says not necessarily. It could be Talmid Chacham, but be that as it may, if someone's buying from an Amma Aretz, b'shviyis in the Shemitah year, noisen loy esrig b'matana. So the person who's buying the lulav, the whole dal mina from the Amma Aretz, should say, do me a favor. The esrig, give me as a gift. I want to buy from you the dal mina, but esrig, give me as a gift. This is this year, Shemitah year. A guy's buying from the Meicher, is Amma Aretz, says, do me a favor. Give me as a gift, because lafisha ein rishon l'leikcha b'shvis. You're not allowed to purchase an esrig from an Amma Aretz in the Shemitah year. As the Gemara explained the reason, which the Gemara opens up with this question. Says, wait a second. First of all, the Gemara says, like, what's a little bit matana ma? Well, what happens if he doesn't want to give it as your gift? Ma pitom, matana, right? What am I going to have for my panasa? Says, no, I'm not. So what do you do then? So Mavuni says, and this is a well-known thing regarding the Shemitah produce, Mavaliya le demei esrig balulav. And this is the halacha that comes up a lot with Dal Minim, Eretz Yisrael. He overcharges you for the lulav, until basically he covers whatever he would have charged for the esrig, and then he gives it to you as a gift. So, because you absorbed the price of the esrig in the lulav. But the Gemara wonders, what's going on over here? Why doesn't he just give it to him, the value of the esrig, straight up? Why can't he buy from him the Shemitah produce? Which the Taisa explains, because if you would think it's a problem because of doing business with Shemitah produce, that's not considered doing business. So what's the problem with buying from him the esrig? Says the Gemara, it's for a very interesting reason. You're not allowed to give the monetary value of Shemitah produce to Nam Haaretz. What's the background to this story? The Torah says that the Shemitah year is la'achla. It's for you to eat, which tells us v'loi l'schar, not for business. Which is that all the Shemitah produce, you have to liquidate it in the 7th year, the produce and its monetary value, whatever it comes out of it. Meaning, you're not allowed to do business with it to put away discreetly that money for after the Shemitah year to become wealthy from that. Now, ignorant people are suspect regarding this, that they're going to, if you're going to buy from him an esrig from Shemitah produce, he's going to take the money, he's going to put it away. He's not going to liquidate the money. So therefore, you're not going to give him any money to purchase anything with money, because you're going to be violating lifnei evil esita mechshol. Because if you're going to buy from him the esrig, he's going to put away. He's going to have a whole stash of money, which cannot stay past the Shemitah. You have to use up all that money for eating purposes. The time like learn the Brisa, you cannot give the monetary value of produce of the Shemitah year to Nam Haaretz. Anything more than 3 meals worth of food, meaning, as Rashi points out, 3 meals worth of money you could give him, which is what's called kedei chayv, just that he could support himself, where you could technically say that he's going to use it on Suda Shabbos. So since it's permitted on Erev Shabbos, so we permit it on even on a regular weekday, which you don't have 3 meals, but okay, that much you can buy from him if it's literally just enough to support him for 3 meals a day. But anything more than that, you can't. Now, what happens, says the Brisa Ve'im, let's say the guy forgot, and Maser, he gives over the money he bought from him, a tenas roigim, so, and it's more than 3 meals worth. So Yomer, so the chaver who gave him the money should say like this: Harimaos halalu. So this money that I gave to the Am Haaretz, and now that money itself, as we're going to learn on Amud Beis, has Shemitah sanctity on that monies, which is problematic because he's not going to do the right Shemitah thing with that monies, as we learn from Sukkim. So he should say, let those monies be you mechulalin al peirish sheyesh b'teich beisi. Let it be deconsecrated on produce that I have in my house, which is not from Shemitah money, not Shemitah produce, and let them take the sanctity of that Shemitah monies, which although it's machlekes and Baba Kama, if you could deconsecrate what someone else has, Taisa says that here it's really just a knas ba'alma, it's just a penalty, so therefore we allow you to do it in such a way as you continue to Beis. And then then this Talmid Chacham, he's going to come and he'll eat those peiros that he deconsecrated from the monies that he gave to the Am Haaretz, b'kedusha shvius, with Shemitah sanctity. Which, what does that mean with Shemitah sanctity? He's going to be eating this peiros anyway. It means eating, drinking, anointing, lighting candles. Those are certain types of pleasures that you're allowed to do with Shemitah produce, as the Gemara, as the Mishnah says in Shvius in the 8th parak. You can't do everything you want with Shemitah produce. It has to be certain types of, so that you'll treat that produce with that sanctity. You'll deconsecrate because you're not allowed to give an Am Haaretz the Shemitah monies. Now, no, what the bread was talking about, you're not supposed to give him more than 3 meals worth. What happens if you made a mistake? You forgot, you didn't realize, oh, Shemitah, how did I buy from this guy? I can't believe it. No, you're not allowed to give it to him. If you violated, you didn't realize, you forgot.
But that's
and
not your money anymore.
Yes, exactly. That's what Tais asked, but you be machal, the kedusha. The sanctity of the money, Tais discussed, it's machlekes and Baba Kama. Tais says here it's knas ba'alma anyway, so we let you deconsecrate that sanctity of that money onto your produce, and you'll treat that as the Shemitah, and you'll make sure you'll eat in the right way of the Shemitah year. Now, says the Brisa Mendevim, when do we say this? That, okay, but at least 3 meals worth you could give him, is specific. It's only if b'lekeach min hamufker. If you're buying from that which is like ownerless, meaning this chaver, this Talmid Chacham sees that these produce that he bought from the Am Haaretz was like in a hefker field, where the Am Haaretz is not protecting it. Oh, so therefore, since we see we're not suspecting him because it's like a hefker field, which that's what you're supposed to do in Shemitah. You have to leave it whole hefker for everyone. So you let it give him a little bit, not a lot, because he's going to start getting stingy. He's going to start getting greedy, and he's going to start putting away the money. But again, enough just for that one day's worth of meals. But let's say you're buying from this field was protected with walls and the door was locked. Oh, now that person is suspect that he's obviously not making his field hefker for poor people. And the pasuk says in Shemais Chav Gimel, the whole point of Shemitah is that the poor could have a free roaming in anyone's fields. So obviously, when this guy is selling you a little bit at a time, he's just tricking you. He just knows the rabbis don't let selling more than 3 meals a day. So the guy has to sell this guy 3 meals, this guy 3 meals, and he's going to be selling. But he's not really keeping the Shemitah laws. Then even like a half of the Isser, like something very little, also would be forbidden. Again, because he's not doing the Shemitah laws, and I'll be over lifnei iver. Usually, you see a half kafil, the guy is going to eat the 3 meals. He's not going to do anything wrong with it. But here, if you is protected, you know he's already doing something wrong. We're already suspecting him that he's doing something wrong, and therefore, then you can't buy even 3 meals worth. Now, but going back to this halacha, Masr Rav Sheshes, he says, wait a second, okay, but you're telling me I'm not mufker. But you tell me, but when it is hefker, Gimel Sudis, then, okay, 3 meals worth, the suloi and not more, you could only buy 3 meals worth from a hefker type of field. For a minute, that seems to be contradicted from Mishnah Masechta Shvius. Mishnah says hapegam, which is called rue. It's a Rashi says a type of a herb called roda. And by harvuzin, which is sorrel, which is, these are also herbs, and they taste like, very similar to the grape vines, grape shoots. And vahashitim, that's someone translated as asparagus, Rashi is isporish, which is a type of vegetable. V'chalaglogois, it's purslin. V'hakuzber shebahorm, which is coriander that grows on the mountains. Why specifically over there? Because coriander that actually grows in the garden is actually considered significant. But these are things that are insignificant. Or v'hakarpa shebenaharis, or organic cress that grows by the rivers. Because again, if it grew in the garden, it would be considered significant. Or v'hagarga shalafar, or that which is called, it's a vegetable called rocket, it grows in the swamp, because again, if it grew in the garden, it would be considered significant. But all these types, if it grows in the mountains or grows in the swamp, these are paturim and meiser. They're exempt from meiser every single year, as the Gemara is going to explain, because these are things that are not usually protected. People don't consider them as significant, and therefore they're just like hefker for anybody. Now, hefker is exempt from meiser, because the pasuk says in Varm Yadald that the Levi is going to come because he has no portion with you, so you got to give him something, give him meiser rishon. But something that he does have a portion with you, like hefker, so then there is no such halacha of giving him any meiser, and these things are like hefker. And another halacha is v'nikchin mikol adam b'shvius. Also, regarding these things, they could be purchased from any single person in the Shemitah year. Meaning, even though by Shemitah, these hefker items have halacha of Shemitah, meaning you have to treat it with the Shemitah sanctity of these things, but you could buy it from anybody, lefisha ein kayitz ben nishmer, which actually this reasoning is actually going on both halachas, that it's there since it's not protected, so essentially it's like hefker. So again, that's why he said since it's like hefker, therefore there's no laws of meiser on it, because it's only ein lo chelik v'nach lemach, and this he does. And additionally, it's like buying from hefker. Now, although we don't know that definitively that this is hefker, but we presume that it is because most people don't usually protect this type of produce. So therefore you're allowed to give that person you're buying from the monies, and we're not concerned that he's going to put away the money for business. Now obviously we see that when you're buying from hefker, you're allowed to buy even a lot, because it just says v'nikchen, it just said you could buy, which sounds like even a lot. But wait a second, didn't you tell me that the halacha of 3 sudas is only by hefker, and you're saying you're capping out at 3 sudas? The Brisa doesn't say that. This Mishnah Masechta Shvius says you can buy. So that seems to be a contradiction. Says the Gemara, no, who Moisabel Mahumavak, Rav Sheshes, who had asked the question, he answers his own question. And he says, B'chdei man, it's according to the food, that's what Shanu, that's what we learned you could buy. Meaning, up until 3 meals worth is what we let you buy. It's according to the man, meaning that of the person's food, 3 meals worth is how much you can buy from him. So the Gemara again, like it did on Amud Alv, asks on a word that was used to answer a question. My mashman hay man lishna b'zayin. You're telling me b'chtei man. What does man mean? That you're telling me that it means food? Just like it says the pasuk in Daniel. The pasuk there is talking about by the those things that were needed for the meal. It says v'yeman lehem hamelech v'goymer, that the king provided for them, etc. Which it talks about over there that he gave them food. So you see that v'yeman, the lashon man, it means sustenance. So therefore, again, that's the difference is that you're right. It's only 3 meals worth. You can't have more than that. So that finishes that part of the Gemara's discussion. But now the Gemara says, wait a second. Ihachi, if that's the case, that you tell me the reasoning of the halach of our Mishnah, that you cannot buy an esrog from Am Haaretz in the Shemitah year, and in every Shemitah year you can't buy more than 3 meals worth from Am Haaretz, because he can't give the monies of Shemitah produce to an Am Haaretz. So then, lulav nami. So then, I don't understand. Lulav also shouldn't be able to buy from him, because there's a kedusha of Shemitah, as the Gemara is going to explain later on, also on the next daf we'll see, on the lulav too. So how you tell me, you can't, the esrog he should give you as a gift. So he said, what happens if he doesn't want to give you a gift? They say, okay, spend double on the lulav, triple on the lulav. I'll give you the esrog as a gift. How you allowed to buy the lulav from him? Lulav also says kedusha shviyas. The same concern of lifnei iver, that he's going to take the monies and he's not going to get rid of it in the appropriate time. He's going to do the same with the lulav.
Only eating.
What? Oh, so right. So that's the Gemara is going to address that question. It would seem like that. The shemitah would only be on things that are edible things. Yeah. So we'll see that. But the Gemara is going to tell us that there is kedusha shemitah on lulav, and therefore the Gemara is asking the question. So the Gemara says no. There's no problem. I'll tell you why. Interesting how we qualify the status of a food item regarding what year it's considered part of it. Lulav bar shishas hanichnas l'shviyasu. This year, when it's going to be a shemitah year, when we're going to be buying lulavim, says the Gemara, that obviously, it's a 6th year. It's not a Shemitah Lulav. Because in 15 days from Rosh Hashanah until Sukkot, you're not having the Lulav grow in those 15 days. Now, a tree, you go what's called Basar Chanata. You go based on when it starts developing a third of its growth, as the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah Yud Gimel base. So this Lulav that you're getting on Shemitah, that you're going into the Shuk on Erev Sukkot, that's not from the Shemitah year. That's from the 6th year. So there's no problem about buying from a lulav. It's not Shemitah lulav. So the Gemara says, wait a second, if that's the case, esrog nami. So I'll go back to the esrog. It also didn't grow in the last 2 weeks. It obviously grew in the 6th year. So why can I buy in the Shemitah year esrog from the Am Haaretz? Says the Gemara, no, esrog bas lekita azlina. But esrog, the halach is different in qualifying it. We go based on when you harvest it. And more than that, it's actually different than all other trees. We actually qualify an esrog like yerokis, like vegetables, which we go based on when you harvest it. And the reason for that is because the term what's called godel al kol mayim. It grows on all types of water, as the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah Yudal Mabeis. Now, by grain and by trees, they grow on rainwater, which means say that's sufficient for the tree. Now, an esrog, however, grows on all types of water, meaning you're constantly watering it like vegetables need to be watered, as the Gemara says in the first Perek Kedushin, Gimel and Aleph. So therefore, we qualify it, categorizing it like Yerokis. Yerokis go based on when you harvest it. So this guy picked his esrog after Yom Kippur, he wanted to be fresh esrogim, so it's going to have a Shemitah halacha. And therefore we have to suspect that he's going to be doing wrong things with the Shemitah produce. That's why by the esrog you cannot give him, but the lulav you could. Right. So that would be but now we're discussing during the Shemitah year itself. Right. So then it would be the flip side. But then the Gemara says, but now the Gemara has a difficulty with what we're saying. Because both Tanoim that have a machlekes regarding esrog in the laws of Meiser, as we're going to quote right now, they both agree, linya shvius regarding the laws of Shemitah, it's not true what you're saying. They say esrog bazachanotaz linan. Regarding the laws of Shemitah, which you just gave this big answer, the differential between esrog and lulav, that esrog goes basa lekita and by lulav is basa chanata, it's not true. Both Tanaim who have a disagreement regarding how you compare esrog to other trees, says in Shemitah years, it's going to go based on when it develops a third, which has been a 6th year then. It's just like the lulav then. It's not like learning the Mishnah Masechet Bikurim. Esrog shaval le'ilam megimel drachim. Esrog is similar to a tree in 3 ways, uliyerik b'derech echad, and to a vegetable in 1 way. How so? It's similar to a tree in 3 ways. Is la'arla, is that it has the laws like a tree, which the first 3 years its fruits are forbidden, which is only a fruit halacha. Ula Ravai, which is the same thing, just in the 4th year, you have to treat it with a certain sanctity. Ula Shvius, and for the Shemitah year, meaning, what do you mean for Shemitah year we treat it as a tree? Meaning we go based on Chanata, when it's a third of its development, like a tree. And regarding a vegetable, in one way, as we get into that when you're harvesting it, that's when Isuroi, it's regarding Meiser that maybe we have Machlekes. Meaning if, let's say, developed in the 2nd year, where then the Meiser is Meiser Rishon, Meiser Sheni, but then you only pick it in the 3rd year of the Shemitah cycle, which then the Meiser is Meiser Rishon and Meiser Ani, so then it'll have the Meiser like that of the 3rd year, which is Meiser Ani. Because in regards to other trees, if it already developed in the 2nd year and you picked in the 3rd year, it would go based on the 2nd year. That's because regarding Meiser, we compare esrog to a vegetable. The reason for that is because the halacha of Meiser of a fruit tree and of Yerakas, of vegetables, are only rabbinic. It's only, says Rashi, by going B'yekev, by grain and by wine. That's the Raisa, which the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah of Yigimel Beis tells us, by going B'yekev, which are the biblical Meisers, we go based on the year when it brought a third, which is what's called Chanata. We learn that from Psukim. Now the Rabbanim, when they made the rabbinic Meiser, they went based on the model of Goy B'yekev. Just like Goy B'yekev, meaning regarding grain and wine. It's distinct that it grows on what's called Roiv Mayim, meaning it's enough with rainwater, and the Meisers from the previous year, so to whatever grows on Roiv Mayim, like fruits of a tree, also the Meisers from the previous year. That excludes vegetables which grow on what's called a kol mayim, which needs more than that. You have to have irrigated water too. Also then the Meiser is on the coming year. Esrog also grows on kol mayim, even though it's a tree, so therefore it has halacha like a yerek, which goes based on the kitasai, which is when you harvest it. That's the Rimlil. Rabbi Eliezer disagrees. No, Esrog Shabbal Ilin Chaldave says Esrog is like a tree for all halachas, even for the laws of Meises. But one thing we see in this halacha of this Mishnah, that regarding the Shemitah year, no one disagrees. Everyone disagrees it's going to go based on Chanata, so it have the same halacha like a lulav. So then it's the 6th year esrog, not the 7th year. Says the Gemara, you're right. These Tanoim all agree. But the Tana of our Mishnah was particular about an esrog, that you're not allowed to buy that from Amma Oretz because it's going to have Demei Shvi'is, is the Amaki Haitan that says like the following Tana. The Tana like Lona Bryce. Amar Bisi says, Avtulmas Heid Meshum Chamishas Kenim. Avtulmas testified in the name of 5 elders that esrog achar lekita lamaisa. Okay, that's something we knew already from Ram Gamliel, that we go based on when you harvested from Meiser. But this is the main point. For Rabbi Seinu Nimna Usha, but our teachers, they took account of the rabbis in Usha. They said, Bein Meiser, Bein Lishvias. Not only for Meiser, but even for the laws of Shemitah, we go based on Lekita, which is the Shemitah year when you're actually harvesting it. Says Gemara, Shviz Kashmir. Wait a second. Who mentioned anything about Shemitah that they counted regarding Shemitah? Says Gemara, you're right. The word's missing here in the Bryce, and which it should say like this: Esrog achal lekit l'maisa. Esrog you go based on when you pick it for the laws of Meiser. But the achal chanata, these are words that are missing. But chanat l'shvius after when it's ripening for the Shemitah year. On that, Rabbi saying the rabbis in Usha they counted and they came out not like that. They say esrog basal lekita. Esrog goes based on when you harvested. Bein lamaisa, bein l'shvius, even for the Shemitah year, and therefore again that's why esrog is different than lulav, and that's why in our Mishnah we say lulav you could buy because it's really from the 6th year. Esrog you can't because you go based on lekita. Thank you to any time for hosting us.